Good evening, America. I'm Angie, and this is N3 Prime Time. We've got an absolutely electric show for you tonight. First up, Gary Franchi dives deep into the legal roller coaster surrounding former President Donald Trump. Could Trump's latest moves shake up our entire judicial system? Hold on tight because we've got the full scoop. And speaking of political maneuvers, Michelle Obama for president in 2024? Gary unpacks how this might disrupt the Democratic Party and redefine American politics. Meanwhile, President Biden is on thin ice. We examine the fractures in the Democratic base and whether Biden's the man for another round. Plus, we're tackling Peter Navarro's contempt conviction. Is this justice served or a deeper symptom of America's division? And get this, despite all the talk of gun control, Americans are buying firearms like hotcakes. Why? We've got the hard numbers. Don't forget, we'll dive into the comments section later in the show to hear what you, our loyal viewers, have to say. And in our Looking at You segment, Gary highlights someone causing a stir who you absolutely must know about. So buckle up, America, because Gary Franchi is here to take you on a news ride like no other. Over to you, Gary.
Good evening and welcome to N3 Primetime. We've got a jam-packed show for you tonight that cuts to the heart of what makes this country tick, whether it's the legal hurdles former President Trump is going through, or the rumor mill churning around Michelle Obama's potential 2024 run. These stories aren't just Washington's latest whispers, they are the seismic shifts that could shape our national landscape for years to come. And then there's Joe Biden, a president besieged by controversies and struggling approval ratings. Is he the man America wants steering the ship? We've also got the story of Peter Navarro, another Trump ally who finds himself at odds with Congress, reflecting a wider chasm that runs through the American public. And of course, the gun control debate. It may be a buzzword in Washington, but for many Americans, it's about safeguarding of fundamental rights. And speaking of safeguarding, let's talk for a second about your finances. You see, our stories tonight expose the shifts and cracks in the bedrock of American politics and culture. And just as you can't predict the next political tremor, you can't foresee economic shocks either. Since the 70s, the U.S. dollar has lost a staggering 85% of its value. And with elections on the horizon, there's no telling what the government might do, like printing money like it's going out of style. But here's the thing. Gold is a safeguard. It withstands the kind of inflation that eats away at your savings, and that's why our friends at Noble Gold Investments are offering you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin when you invest with them. Protect your future and go to nextnewsgold.com or dial 877-646-5347. Even if you're not investing, give them a call and tell them thank you for sponsoring this program. Angie, I've got a lot to say on tonight's show. It looks like a pulse-pounding look at the nation. But what stories are you bringing into the spotlight?
Thanks, Gary. Folks, if you think you've heard it all, think again. Tonight, we'll dissect Joe Biden's plummeting approval ratings. And get this, even CNN can't sugarcoat the bad news anymore. Why should you care? Because this affects your livelihood, your job security, and your family's future. And speaking of Biden, another senior moment you won't believe. You'll want to hear how he botched his own secretary's name. It's not just embarrassing, it's a national security concern. And it's also not just about Biden. I'll also dive into eye-opening revelation from a Border Patrol agent and how Biden's policies have turned our border into a revolving door. And Tennessee's Senator Marsha Blackburn has some tough questions for Vice President Kamala Harris. Where is the action, she asks? And you should too. And a major win for Texas. An emergency stay means border barriers stay up. But the fight's not over. Governor Abbott is putting Texas first and drawing the battle lines. These stories matter because they directly impact you, our viewers. We're not just reporting the news. We're breaking down the issues that hit home. The issues that define our times. Back to you, Gary, for tonight's first special report.
Good evening, America. Tonight we're diving deep into a legal drama that's not just about one man, but the very integrity of our justice system. Imagine playing a high-stakes game of poker, but the tables, the United States, the cards, are the Constitution, and the player, none other than former President Donald Trump. With strategic moves that might just upend the Georgia election interference case, we uncover the brilliant legal strategies and what they might mean for our nation's future. But stay with us till the end, for in our final thought, we shed light on a revelation that might change the way you see American justice altogether. The clock is ticking, the stage is set, and every decision hereafter carries with it the weight of history. In the great theater of American politics, there's no dearth of dramatic turns. The spotlight once again finds its way to former President Donald Trump. It's not a new policy or a tell-all book. No, this time it's a significant legal maneuver, a move that could reshape the contours of an already controversial court case. Stephen Sato, the formidable attorney at the helm of Trump's case, has issued a statement so bracing it could shift the very foundation of the Georgia election interference case. President Trump hereby notifies the court that he may seek removal of his prosecution to federal court. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a mere change of venue, but for those versed in the machinations of law, this is a strategic play on the high stakes of poker. Simon Abeta, well, he took to Twitter, breaking the news that Trump might leverage federal official immunity protections in an attempt to have the charges dropped. And now, here's CBS with more.
Also today, former President Trump signaled that he may try to move the election interference and racketeering case against him in Georgia to federal court. Moving the case to a federal courtroom would likely block it from being televised, as it will be in Georgia. Several of Trump's 18 co-defendants in the case have already begun trying to move their charges from state court.
And there's the rub. Why would a former president, with all of the weight of his office and an army of legal experts, consider such a move? Well, the answer, as always, lies in the details. CNN, often critical of Trump, has postulated a theory. By moving to federal court, Trump might be angling to broaden the scope of his defense, positing that his challenge to the 2020 election results was not only within his rights, but a fundamental duty of his office. If this argument holds water in the federal arena, the charges could very well evaporate. Yet the plot thickens further. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution has keenly observed the implications of this move on the potential jury pool. If Trump remains bound to Fulton County, he faces a jury pool where he secured less than 27% of the votes. But in the federal realm, the dynamics shift, and Trump could draw from a region where he not only fared better, but secured almost half the vote. From a strategic standpoint, it is pure brilliance. Reuters, in its thorough analysis, delves into the broader repercussions of Trump's proposed shift. This isn't about one man. There are 19 defendants, all intertwined in this intricate legal web. And if Trump's co-defendants, including figures like former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, follow suit, we could be witnessing a legal domino effect. Judge Scott McAfee, seemingly caught in this whirlwind, voiced concerns about the logistics of it all. Can he, in good conscience, manage 19 high-profile defendants in a rapidly closing window? It's a Herculean task. As we delve deeper into the saga, let me draw a brief parallel for you. Navigating our health is much like navigating this legal quagmire. The path isn't always clear, and sometimes we need a little help to reset. And that is where Pure Body Extra comes in. This isn't about trends or fads, it's about science, much like the intricacies of our legal system. Backed by Zeolite, it's a rejuvenating detox. And now for our audience, an exclusive $5 offer awaits at detoxwithgary.com. Now pivoting back, we can't forget Trump's other looming trials, facing allegations ranging from mishandling classified documents to challenges on election results and even business dealings in New York. The weight on Trump is substantial. This revelation is pivotal as it brings to light the complexities surrounding this unprecedented case. Trump, who is already facing 2 federal trials, remains defiant and unyielding. During a candid conversation with radio host Hugh Hewitt, Trump made his intentions clear. He said, "I look forward to testifying at trial. I'll testify." A statement that not only reaffirms his confidence, but also underscores his readiness to confront the charges head on. Listen.
If you have to go to trial, will you testify in your own defense?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You'll take the stand.
That I look forward to, because that's just like Russia. That's all the fake information from Russia. Remember when the dossier came out and everyone said, oh, that's so terrible. And then it turned out to be, it was a political report put out by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. They paid millions for it. They gave it to Christopher Steele. They paid millions and millions of dollars for it, and it was all fake.
No, I think that obstruction charge is going to get to trial, Mr. President. I think that.
I'll testify.
Okay, if you do, and they ask you on the stand, did you order anyone to move boxes? How will you answer?
I'm not answering that question for you, but I'm totally covered under the law.
Okay.
If you read the Presidential Records Act, Just read it. You take a look at it.
To lay observers, Trump's resilience might seem audacious, but for those who've watched him weather storm after storm, this is quintessential Trump, fearless, direct, and always ready for a fight. The coming weeks and months will be revelatory. As Trump navigates this legal maze, the American public will witness not just the resilience of a former president, but the mettle of our judiciary. This isn't merely about Trump, it's about precedent, justice, and the very fabric of our legal system, a system that will in time render its judgment. Whether that's in a state courtroom in Fulton County or the federal halls of justice remains to be seen. Tonight's unfolding story reminds us of the ingenuity and foresight embedded in the very fabric of our legal system. At the center of it all stands former President Donald Trump navigating the judicial maze with astuteness and a strategic prowess seldom witnessed. It's a testament to the brilliance of his legal team and their unwavering commitment to ensure every avenue of justice is explored. As the drama unfolds, we're reminded that in America, every individual, regardless of stature, has the right to challenge and seek fairness. This isn't just about one man's quest for justice. It's a demonstration of America in action. As we reflect upon tonight's revelations, let's appreciate the resilience of our system and the potential it holds for fair and just outcomes. And remember, in our great land, strategy and foresight often illuminate the path to justice. And now for a quick update on the president's approval ratings. Over to you, Ange.
President Joe Biden's approval ratings have tanked to an abysmal 39%. Even CNN, known for its left-leaning bias, had to start their show off with one word: oof. Why? Because the American people are fed up. They're worried about Biden's age, questioning his mental and physical ability to lead this great nation. But hold on, it gets worse. A staggering 58% of Americans believe Biden's economic policies are dragging us down, casting serious doubt on the White House much hyped up Bidenomics. Jobs are disappearing, wallets are thinning, and patience is running out. Even CNN can't ignore the truth anymore. The Biden administration is in way over its head, proving itself incapable of effectively governing. Americans deserve better than this power-hungry party's failing policies. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Gary has a report on an unexpected 2024 revelation from someone close to Obama. Gary?
In a political landscape where surprises seem to be the only constant, a bombshell revelation threatens to send shockwaves through the conservative camp. Imagine, if you will, a monumental 2024 showdown that no one saw coming. We have a source with inside knowledge that claims the 2024 Democratic ticket could be far from what we've expected. Trump supporters, brace yourselves. The name on everyone's lips: Michelle Obama. Now, you may be tempted to dismiss this, but tonight's evidence could reshape everything we thought we knew about the upcoming election. And you'll want to stay with us until the very end, as the implications of this information go far beyond party lines. Our final thought will reveal exactly why this matters to each and every American. As the political tides shift, numerous voices from within the Beltway are sounding the alarm about former First Lady Michelle Obama's potential run for 2024. The whispers are getting louder, and there's more to this than meets the eye. The narrative is not just one of mere speculation. Think about the current scenario: Joe Biden battling unfavorable poll numbers and tied with former President Donald Trump, even with allegations surrounding the latter. This, coupled with Biden's age, raises the fundamental question of fitness for a second term. Kamala Harris, despite being next in line, lacks the broad appeal that's quintessential for a winning run. Enter Michelle Obama, the First Lady turned author, a global icon, and perhaps the dark horse for 2024. Now, this isn't a lone wild theory. Influential figures, namely Roger Stone and Newt Gingrich, among others, have raised this possibility. Stone, speaking at the Turning Point Action 2024 conference, offered a provocative perspective. Watch.
Now, as a veteran of many years in American politics, I'm going to tell you something somewhat shocking. Joe Biden will not be the nominee of the Democratic Party in 2024. Kamala Harris will briefly become president, but the only way in their party they can replace a woman of color is with another woman of color. And yes, you heard it here first. The Democratic nominee for president will be Michelle Obama. They have already rigged their primaries. The reason that they have canceled the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary is to put South Carolina, a state where a majority of the Democratic primaries or primary voters are African Americans, and they will allow Gavin Newsom to purchase the vice presidential nomination, but the Obamas will hold him up for $600 or $800 million to do so. You heard it here first. When Steve Bannon says it in 3 weeks, remember I said it first.
Now, as Stone highlights, Biden may step down, Kamala Harris briefly taking over, only to be succeeded by another formidable woman of color, Michelle Obama. Moreover, former Speaker Newt Gingrich weighed in with his perspective in an interview with Maria Bartiromo. Take a look.
I also think that I was very struck when Mark Halperin in his Wide World of News ran the video of Michelle Obama on stage with Bruce Springsteen. She's playing a tambourine. She recently had 9,000 people at an event with Oprah in Los Angeles. I think Republicans had better pay significant attention to Michelle Obama. I hadn't believed that until I saw her on stage with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
I thought, this is not a person who's hiding. So it's conceivable that Susan Rice and others are beginning to say they're not going to be part of some kamikaze re-election campaign with a guy who can't remember what he did yesterday.
Yeah. I remember that moment, the video of Michelle Obama with Bruce Springsteen, and that is exactly what came to my mind as well. Now, Michelle Obama, with her massive following, charisma, and public appeal, has been subtly positioning herself at the forefront. Unlike other political figures, she hasn't receded from the limelight, instead carving a niche in public discourse. But the narrative doesn't end there. I want to draw your attention to a dire concern that mirrors our nation's political upheavals. Our dollar, once backed by gold, is losing its value. It's depreciated by 85% since the 70s. Like the Democrats seeking a strong contender, it's paramount we also seek an investment that stands the test of time. Enter Noble Gold Investments, a trusted avenue to ensure your wealth isn't eroded by inflation. Just like the Democrats might pivot to Michelle, it's time we pivot back to the reliability of gold. And when you invest with Noble Gold Investments, they're offering a free 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Remember, as our political stage changes, ensure your investment game does too. Visit nextnewsgold.com or call the number 877-646-5347. And now back to our unfolding story. Michelle Obama's biographer. This is where it gets really interesting, folks. This is the insider. Joel Gilbert recently spotlighted why the former First Lady's name has surged to the top. Gilbert meticulously maps out Michelle's trajectory, which eerily resembles Barack Obama's ascendancy. Both led voter registration initiatives. While Barack had 2 autobiographies before his presidential run, Michelle released 2 of her own, each becoming bestsellers. Gilbert's observations are not to be dismissed lightly. Michelle introduced Biden at the 2020 Democrat National Convention, reminiscent of Barack introducing John Kerry in 2004. These parallels are hard to ignore. Despite Michelle Obama's previous denials of a 2024 run, the landscape has changed drastically. With the increasing allegations and scandals surrounding the Bidens, her stand might too. The challenge for the Democrats is profound. With Biden's dwindling popularity, owing to various allegations including the potential involvement with his son's foreign business deals, the party needs a strong alternative. Harris, Newsom, Buttigieg, despite their prominence, might not carry the nationwide appeal the party desperately seeks. Michelle's candidature isn't just about winning an election, but healing a divided nation in their eyes. A symbol of unity, she's worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between different demographics with her focus on issues like education and health. Now, conservatives, however, have concerns. They've cautioned that under the surface of Michelle's charismatic demeanor lies an agenda deeply rooted in progressive policies. Some argue these could veer too far left for the average American, potentially compromising economic growth and individual liberties. Michelle's possible return to the White House also signifies a significant shift in the party's Democrat strategy. Rather than focusing on upcoming leaders like Harris and Newsom, they might be reverting to tried and tested Obama-era ideologies. Now, to put things in perspective, let's understand the dynamics at play. The 2020s has been a tumultuous decade for America, with issues like the pandemic, political polarization, and a challenged economy. The people yearn for stability. Michelle Obama might just be the answer the Democrats are looking for. Her presence assures a return to a familiar leadership style, possibly offering a balm to the nation's wounded spirit in their eyes. Now, on the flip side, Michelle candidacy might face resistance from the more progressive wing of the Democrat Party, demanding a fresher, radical approach. The question remains, will Michelle's potential run appease or alienate these factions? Conservative strategists are already mapping countermeasures. A rematch of sorts, Trump versus Obama. It would be a spectacle to behold. However, Trump's controversies and impeachment trials, coupled with Michelle's clean record, might tilt the scales in her favor in the public's eye. In conclusion, the 2024 elections promise to be one of the most fascinating and unprecedented races in recent history. With potential game-changing candidates like Michelle Obama, the stakes have never been higher. It's a story of strategy, shifting allegiances, and the battle for the very soul of America. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we stand on the precipice of the 2024 elections, let me be perfectly clear. The heart and soul of our country hangs in the balance. Stone, Gingrich, even Trump's biographer, they've all given their alarms. They see what many are trying to ignore, a potential return to the Obama years. Remember those? When the fabric of America seemed to change every other day? With rumors of Michelle Obama entering the race, it's not just a replay of the past. It might be an accelerated sequel that we never asked for. For everyone out there worried that our great nation can't weather another term of those policies, this is your wake-up call. It's time for to unify. Remember what we stand for and support someone who won't bend to fleeting popular opinion like Donald Trump. We can't let history repeat itself. Our future and America's legacy depends on it. Now, there was apparently a lighthearted moment as President Biden introduced Pete Buttigieg with a unique name twist. What are the details, Angie?
Hold on to your seats, America, because President Joe Biden just had another senior moment, this time introducing Secretary Pete Buttigieg as Booty Juice. Yep, you heard it right. The man in charge can't even recall his own team's names correctly. Now, left-wing outlets like Snopes are scrambling to clean up his mess, saying he mumbled or spoke too quietly. Seriously, this isn't just about forgetting names. It's about Biden's glaring cognitive decline. How can he lead America when he can't even lead a sentence? It's not funny. It's downright dangerous. The media keeps telling us everything is fine. Well, clearly it's not. It's time for Americans to demand better. We need a leader fully equipped to make sound decisions and represent us globally. Biden isn't that guy. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link. Concern and panic among Democrats as President Biden's popularity takes a nosedive. Over to you, Gary.
Good evening, fellow patriots. Imagine standing on the edge of a precipice, hearing the faint whispers of uncertainty grow into deafening screams of panic. Tonight, we shine a spotlight on the Democrat Party teetering on that very edge. As whispers in the corridors of power in D.C. grow louder, a narrative emerges of a party in turmoil, a party grappling with an existential crisis that screams for change at its helm. As we unravel the events leading up to this point, remember this. By the end of this report, a shocking revelation awaits, a profound insight into what this turbulence means for our great nation. The winds of change are howling. Can you hear it? As night descends upon our capital, the very foundation of the Democrat Party trembles with an urgency unlike ever before. The whispers that once subtly echoed through the marbled halls of Washington, D.C. have erupted into desperate, impassioned cries for change. President Joe Biden, at the helm of our nation, confronts not just a waning trust from Americans, but a deep-seated panic from within his own ranks. This isn't the chatter of D.C.'s usual suspects. It's the undeniable reality, punctuated by stark data. Polls now paint a grim picture of a leader faltering against most Republican contenders and an electorate, including those staunchly by his side, questioning whether age might indeed be more than a number. It isn't merely the weight of years that casts a shadow over President Biden's tenure. It's the troubling moments of distraction, the instances where he seems to drift from the very duties he's sworn to uphold. And consider this. Just this week, in the midst of a revered Medal of Honor ceremony, President Biden inexplicably left before its culmination. Watch. Absolutely unforgivable. Now, these aren't trivial oversights. They are glaring signs of a leader seemingly detached from his own presidency. In the unpredictable ebb and flow of politics, fluctuations in a leader's popularity are commonplace. Yet the swift and staggering plummet of Biden's approval rating raises eyebrows and sets off alarms. Ron Faucheux, a veteran in the polling arena, highlighted the gravity of the situation, with Biden standing ranging between 43 and 47% against potential opponents, starkly lower than the 51% that he had in the 2020 election. The Democrat Party's alarm bells aren't just ringing, they are deafening. It's not merely the traditional political adversaries posing a threat. Biden finds himself on shaky ground, tying with or even trailing behind unexpected challengers. Names like Vivek Ramaswamy, a young 38-year-old upstart, loom large, while he lags behind the former ambassador Nikki Haley by a significant 6 points. Yet this isn't just a game of statistics. These figures echo a desperate cry from voters yearning for vitality, enthusiasm, and a rejuvenated vision. The narratives they spin paint a tale of a Democratic Party grappling with the need for change and fresh direction. What used to be a display of unity is now fractured into a cacophony of doubt and mistrust. The stark reality? An overwhelming majority of Democrats are apprehensive about President Biden leading the helm for another term. The party leadership? They're trapped in a vortex of growing unrest. Biden's increasingly evident slip-ups are no longer minor blips, but full-blown sirens sounding off, and the sinking poll numbers serve as a chilling testament. So who is lurking behind the curtain, awaiting a potential moment in the spotlight? Well, dear America, the plot thickens. Vice President Kamala Harris, in her recent rendezvous at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit, dropped what many see as more than just an innocent remark. Her subtle emphasis on the inherent duty of every vice president stepping up if the need arises sounds less like protocol and more like preparation. Watch.
Questions about the president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how you would step in the role, if necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
And how would you describe that process?
Which process?
Like as far as being ready for that.
Well, first of all, I'm answering your hypothetical, but Joe Biden's going to be fine, so that is not going to come to fruition. But let us also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different.
Could the Democrats be bracing for the unexpected? But the narrative doesn't end with Harris. California's own Gavin Newsom, although verbalizing support for Biden, seems to have presidential aspirations shimmering in his eyes. Engaging in fiery debates with Republicans and amassing formidable political assets gives away more than mere state-level politics. And his sudden shift on California's energy policy seems like a play to woo a diverse array of American voters, doesn't it? Amid the rising clamor in Washington, D.C., one might wonder why the Democrat Party's gaze seems to be shifting from their seasoned leadership. The answer might lie in David Paleologos' recent bombshell. The director of Suffolk University Political Research Center points to an urging and surging sentiment. A younger, fresher face within the Democrats might be the party's only hope against a Trump resurgence. Is the very foundation of Biden's leadership now being questioned by his own side? In the tempestuous heart of Washington, D.C., there is a lesson to draw from our nation's health statistics. America, as data reveals, staggering. 74% of adults are overweight. Our political arena similarly feels suffocated. The Democrat Party, smothered under the weight of outdated policies and exhausted narratives, finds itself at a crossroads. The need of the hour? Dynamic change. Analogous to how a potential health supplement can rejuvenate an individual, fresh leadership could be a lifeline the Democrats desperately seek. And if rejuvenation is on your mind, consider this. There's a CLA supplement known to support weight loss and enhance energy. Experience these transformative benefits by visiting trimwithgary.com. Breathe new life into your routine. Returning to the Democrat conundrum, amidst the cries demanding change, Michelle Obama's name rises like a phoenix. The sheer power of her potential candidacy reverberates throughout the Capitol. Is she the answer to the Democrats' woes for 2024? Some suggest this increasing spotlight on her might also be a strategy to overshadow the controversies tied to Hunter Biden. In the echoing halls of Washington, D.C., whispers of unrest are within the Democrat Party. They've grown into deafening roars of dissent. At the eye of the storm is President Joe Biden, whose entanglement with allegations linked to his son's dealings has further intensified the tempest. As the allegations swirl, a question looms over the party. If not Biden, then who can rally the Democrats and go toe-to-toe with the GOP? Michelle Obama emerges as a beacon of hope in this darkening landscape of theirs, with certain polls even showing her eclipsing Biden's popularity. But amidst the chaos, one undeniable truth stands out. The nation's allegiance is shifting. Biden's approval ratings perilously teeters around the low 40s, and in some cases plunges even lower. For the coveted independent voters, the linchpin in any election, an alarming 64% expressed dissatisfaction with Biden's tenure. Pollster Jim McLaughlin, affiliated with former President Donald Trump, pulls no punches. His numbers are a catastrophe. He ascribes this downturn to policies that seemingly amplify Americans' challenges rather than alleviating them. And here lies the Democrats' painful conundrum. Facing potential defeat against almost any Republican adversary, the crossroads are stark. Persist with Biden and hope for a political miracle, or pivot towards new leadership in 2024. The clock is ticking, America, and as the political hurricane intensifies, its aftermath promises to reshape our nation's landscape. America, our journey tonight took us through the heart of a tempest. The Democrat Party's panic, the voices of dissent, and the rallying cries for change reveal a deeper story, one of a nation at a crossroads. Joe Biden's presidency has stirred not just an opposition, but a whirlwind within his own ranks. The blood-curdling scream of rage we delved into isn't just about a presidency, it's about the future of the Democrat Party, and by extension, our nation. Every whisper, every scream demands that we ask ourselves, who do we want at the helm of our nation's most pivotal moments? It's not just about party politics. It's about America's core values, about stability, vision, and a promising future. This is your call to be vigilant, to make choices that uphold our nation's legacy. The storm is upon us. The direction we take is in our hands. Concerns are rising at the border as an agent speaks out against Biden's policy implementation. Angie, what are the details?
A courageous Border Patrol agent is blowing the whistle on the Biden administration's border debacle. According to this agent, the contrast between Biden's policies and Trump's is like night and day. Asylum claims, most don't even qualify. Yet thanks to a backlog of cases, these folks set up shop in the U.S. years before facing any hearing. Talk about failing to protect our asylum system's integrity. Remember Trump's Remain in Mexico policy? That was effective, says the agent. Biden's reversal, just adding fuel to the fire. And here's a shocker. DNA testing under Trump revealed 40 to 50% of so-called families weren't even related. These are loopholes folks are exploiting to game our system. Bottom line, Biden's policies are a border catastrophe waiting to happen, compromising our national security. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Emotions run high as a trial verdict leads to a confrontational scene outside the courthouse. Gary, what's happening?
Ladies and gentlemen, America watched with bated breath as justice seemed to falter. Former Trump trade advisor Peter Navarro faced his moment in the glaring sun, convicted of contempt. But outside that courtroom, as he tried to address the nation, a storm brewed. Clashes erupted, voices raised, an unsettling display unfolded before our eyes. How do we reach a point where civil discourse is replaced by chaos? This isn't just about Navarro's conviction. It's a reflection of our nation's divide. As we delve deeper into today's special report, I urge you to stay with us until the very end, because in our final thought, we reveal why this day, this moment, should matter to every single American. Peter Navarro, a man known to many as a staunch advisor to the former President Donald Trump, found himself facing the gavel of justice. Convicted of 2 counts of contempt of Congress, his defiance of a subpoena from the House committee investigating the January 6 incident put him on the stand. This conviction wasn't just any legal pronouncement. It was a crescendo in a broader narrative of political confrontations, of a tumultuous period tracing back to the 2020 elections. As Navarro's role during Trump's tenure became scrutinized, questions arose about the legitimacy of invoking executive privilege. He claimed that Trump's invocation of this privilege shielded him. However, this defense found no resonance within the courtroom. As the news of the conviction reverberated, Navarro took to Twitter. The day Judge Mehta ruled I could not use executive privilege as a defense, the die was cast. His sentiment of predestination, a belief that the trial's outcome was predetermined, made its way through cyberspace. But before Navarro faced the jury, he voiced his apprehensions again on Twitter. And speaking of unprecedented charges, this is what he wrote. Now on trial for an alleged crime no senior White House official has ever been charged with. Yes, speaking of unprecedented charges against a senior White House official, his rhetoric was clear. He believed his trial was not just about contempt, but a wider reflection of the state of the nation. Now, facing up to 2 years in prison, his fate is uncertain. But even as this legal drama unfolded outside, another was about to begin. Navarro, determined to make his voice heard, approached the press. Eager journalists, cameras rolling, braced themselves. Yet, as is often the case in these polarized times, division broke through. Squabbles ignited between Trump supporters and detractors, and intended calm interaction turned frantic. Navarro's post-conviction tweet resonated with defiance, a sense of duty to his beliefs, and a plea for prayerful support. Yet this solemn sentiment clashed with the chaos outside. The tension reached its pinnacle with a bizarre and alarming altercation. A pro-Trump protester accused of assault with a flagpole. The incident, captured on video, spread like wildfire. Watch.
With one of the most important constitutional separation of powers issues, and people will not let me speak.
This is my First Amendment right. This is
what I'm going to do now is allow...
There's cameras here. The marshals just saw you. The marshals just saw you. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. You just assaulted me. That man just assaulted me. He stuck a flagpole in between my legs.
Yeah.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. There you go. You're in trouble now. They're calling protective services. I was just assaulted.
Look, if you got a sign,
no, I
hold it over there.
Liar.
I can hold it anywhere I want. This is public property.
It's assault. I want to press charges.
Let the man talk.
Charges.
Are you interested in hearing him?
Man, go ahead, Peter. Go ahead and talk. Man.
You're on federal
I don't
property.
agree with some of your shit, but go ahead and talk, man. Go ahead and talk.
Charges. No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Go ahead and talk, man. Go ahead.
Sad day for America. Not because they were guilty verdicts, because I can't come out and have an honest, decent conversation with the people of America. People of America, I want you to understand that this is the problem we have right here. This kind of divide in our country between the woke Marxist left and everybody else here. And this is nuts. So what I want to try to do here is have an interesting discussion about what just happened. That's what you all want to know. You want to know what just happened. So I'm going to give Mr. Raleigh first crack at this, and there's some issues they did.
Now, the footage displayed a distraught female protester decrying the inappropriate action, causing Navarro's address to come to a grinding halt. Amid the accusations and the screams of "don't touch me," one might wonder, where are we headed as a nation? And just when it seemed the situation couldn't escalate further, a voice broke through the chaos. An individual behind Navarro, possibly not entirely in agreement with his views, urged him to continue. A simple plea for the basic right of free speech, regardless of personal opinions. However, Navarro's conclusion painted a grim picture. This was not just a sad day due to verdicts, but because he, a key figure in recent American history, couldn't have a genuine conversation with the people. And just as Peter Navarro found himself facing an unexpected turn, life often throws us curveballs. Many, we experience an unforeseen decline in our physical vitality after we hit 30. Aging is unpredictable as a protester's outcry can lead to muscle loss affecting our daily lives. But what if I told you there's a way to combat it? Just as Navarro sought defense in the courtroom, you too can defend against this inevitable decline. A product that's boasting powerful ingredients like MyHMB, creatine, and vitamin D3 promises not just to fight muscle loss, but to enhance endurance and performance. To fortify yourself against this unexpected, visit gainwithgary.com. And just for our viewers, a whopping 41% discount awaits along with exclusive gifts. Don't let life's unpredictable moments catch you off guard. Now, looking back, Peter Navarro is not the first close associate of Trump to find himself ensnared in a legal net. The name Steve Bannon emerges from the recent past. Another staunch supporter, Bannon was found guilty last year for a similar offense, defying a subpoena. His sentence of 4 months in prison now awaits the results of an appeal. It begs the question, what does this pattern signify? Is it a rigorous pursuit of justice or something more? Does this hint at a broader political motivation or just a strict interpretation of the rule of law? Whatever your view, it's clear that the tremors of the 2020 election and the events of January 6 and their subsequent investigations continue to send ripples through our nation. The courtroom dramas and the chaos outside might be two different events, but they're interconnected strands of the American story today. So today marked a dark day in America, a press conference descending into chaos, not just as an isolated event, but symbolizing a deepening rift in our societal fabric. The justice system's handling of Peter Navarro not only brought forth a verdict, but also a cacophony of division and anger. When the avenues of civil discourse crumble, when press conferences transform into battlegrounds, and when our faith in justice wavers, we must ask ourselves, is this the America we want? For the sake of our nation's future, we need reflection, understanding, and above all, unity. A fiery exchange in Washington as Senator Marsha Blackburn sharply criticizes Vice President Kamala Harris. Angie, what are the details?
Tennessee's Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is pulling no punches on Vice President Kamala Harris. If Harris has what it takes to lead this nation, where's her action on the border crisis? Blackburn asked, and let's not forget, she's also shining a spotlight on the sinister cartels, labeling them as international global business organizations involved in horrifying activities like drug and human trafficking. Blackburn's call to action is loud and clear. Secure the border and put Americans first. This as people from 176 different countries showed up at our southern border last year alone. Harris and Biden, are you listening? Because Americans are watching, and they are demanding action now. The facts speak for themselves. This administration's border security is a calamity, and the clock is ticking. Dive deeper and get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Gary has a report decoding the surge in gun purchases during the Biden administration. Gary?
Imagine a world where the very man aiming to tighten gun control becomes an inadvertent champion for skyrocketing gun sales. Yes, you heard that right. Under the Biden administration, gun sales have consistently exceeded the million mark for a whopping 49 straight months. Surprising? Well, we were too. Tonight we'll delve into the startling data showing how and why Americans, quite literally by the millions, are choosing to invest in their Second Amendment rights. And if you're curious about why this matters to you, your family, and our great nation, you don't want to miss our final thought. It's an eye-opener. The beauty of numbers is their impartiality. Last month, gun sales in the U.S. exceeded an astonishing 2 million. This isn't a blip on the radar, but rather the 49th consecutive month where firearms sales have shattered the million mark. An analysis from Guns.com based on the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, the NICS, highlights that this recent figure is a 16.4% dip from the staggering 2.45 million checks in August of 2022. But hold on to your hats. These numbers are still towering compared to those before the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. For perspective, this August was the 5th highest in NICS checks for any August in a quarter century. And it's essential to comprehend while NICS checks encompass reasons like concealed carry permit applications, the National Shooting Sports Foundation offers a clearer picture. Their data adjusts for these nuances. With about 1.1 million background checks last month, NSSF's figures are 13% less than last year, but still indicative of a nation deeply invested in firearm rights. Mark Olivia, the NSF Public Affairs Officer, pointedly emphasized Americans are investing in exercising their Second Amendment rights every month for over 4 years continuously. An impressive streak by any measure. The underlying question, however, is why? Is there an undercurrent of concern that the Biden administration's proposed rules infringe on the core American rights? Mark Olivia suggests so. He states that Americans are sending a clear and unequivocal message that their personal safety and free exercises of their rights is non-negotiable, especially when there's a perception that officials aren't adequately punishing criminals. And Safe Home, a safety research organization, unearthed that around 17.4 million guns were sold across the U.S. in 2022. Although this is less than in 2021 and 2020, it's noteworthy. Why the decline? Some suggest that consumers are tightening their belts amidst inflationary pressures and a general economic slowdown in discretionary expenses. Yet historical context is crucial. Gun sales catapulted by 64% in 2020. Safe Home postulates the reasons to be twofold. The COVID-19 pandemic nudged people towards outdoor activities, possibly fueling a rise in firearm interest. More crucially, 2020 was an election year. Typically, such years witness a surge in gun purchases due to apprehensions over potential legislative changes. And given this, you might ask, where are the hot spots? In 2022, Wyoming, Montana, and Alaska, they led the pack in per capita gun sales. Conversely, Iowa, Oregon, and the District of Columbia lagged behind. And as we delve deeper into this topic, it's essential to take a moment to consider preparedness. Now, in a world that feels increasingly uncertain, whether it's political debates or economic shifts, preparation is key. Just as millions are preparing, by exercising their Second Amendment rights, you too can prepare for unpredictable times ahead. My Patriot Supply is currently offering a rare 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food kit. Protect yourself and your loved ones. 1 kit per person. This offer is limited, so be sure to visit preparewithgary.com and secure your 25% discount. Ensure your family's safety and preparedness. Now, the ongoing rise in gun sales sits in stark contrast with the Biden administration's efforts at gun control. Currently, they're pushing a rule that would label nearly any American selling guns as a firearms dealer. The objective? To tighten the noose around gun control. And despite their efforts, as noted by this Twitter user, the United States citizenry is now more armed than at any time in its history. For now, individuals can freely exchange in firearm sales without the tag of a registered firearms dealer. The proposed rules, however, would shift this dynamic, placing gun sales squarely under business activities. This would mean mandatory licenses and background checks for individuals selling firearms. Watch.
First of all, why do we think this is constitutional?
Well, because the Congress has passed the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which says specifically that ATF has to issue a rule to basically close what we call the gun show loophole and the internet sale loophole. And that's precisely what ATF has done. So they're not advancing this regulation in the absence of congressional authority to do so.
You're arguing that the Congress did give them this authority.
Absolutely.
Told them to write a rule. Now, this is subject. There's going to be a lawsuit because
Of
that's
course.
how this world works. Are you confident that it's going to be upheld?
Yes, I
Why?
am confident because they're very focused in this rule on exactly what Congress said, which is we want to ensure that any dealer making a profit off the sale of firearms is regulated as a federally licensed firearms dealer, no matter where they're selling, over the internet or at gun shows. And that's exactly
and basically,
what
those are the two places. You're not targeting the person who's selling a shotgun to their neighbor.
No.
Right?
I would like Congress to provide the authority for universal
Okay.
background checks.
But that is not what
But
you
that
believe
is
this
not
rule.
covered by this rule.
Okay, this is specifically basically the two bigger gaps here, which is gun shows themselves. All right, let's and internet. Let's
Yes.
talk about enforcement.
Yes.
Because you tell me why I'm being a cynic here. Is this really going to get enforced? And
Absolutely.
What does enforcement look like?
So enforcement here looks like any other regime under all of our laws. We
Okay.
were just talking at the break. Chuck,
Right.
we have speed limits across this country. And how are those enforced? Randomly, by ensuring that there's a police officer who's noting you or radar, et cetera. Here we have gun shows, thousands of them that have proliferated, and we have internet sales of guns. So ATF and in some cases state and local police with authority need to monitor the sales that are happening there and ensure that every single person subject to this rule,
Right.
which by the way, ATF estimates that will be between 30,000 and 300,000 entities now operating with no license at all.
And this is
are
mostly
subject
online?
to the rule.
This is mostly an online phenomenon?
It is some online, but it's mostly gun shows. And
Now, this move, according to Randy Kozich of the NRA-ILA, is nothing short of a war on the Second Amendment. The Gun Owners Association takes it a step further, saying the rule almost outlaws private firearms transactions. The goal? Ensuring, quote, the government gets its hands on your personal information and transaction records, end quote. Furthermore, the Biden administration introduced another contentious law. This would penalize Americans found in possession of an unregistered braced firearm, effectively branding them as felons. While multiple federal judges have temporarily blocked this rule, these injunctions are restricted to specific groups and jurisdictions. But here's the rub. While the Biden administration, spearheaded by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, pushes for an all-encompassing ban on assault weapons, the NRA fervently objects. The AR-15 rifle, often labeled by gun control enthusiasts as an assault weapon, is among America's most favorite self-defense rifle. Illustrating this point, NRA spokesperson Billy McLaughlin references a 2019 incident where an 8-month pregnant Florida mother, wielding her AR-15, successfully defended her family against 2 armed intruders. McLaughlin passionately notes that both Joe and Kamala should engage with countless law-abiding Americans who bank on AR-15s for their safety. Quote, they're playing politics with human lives and are blind to the fact that their pro-criminal policies drive more people to buy guns. Now, public sentiment is split. A recent CNN poll revealed that while 36% believe that guns in public places reduce safety, 32% argue that armed gun owners enhance public safety. So, America, here's the crux. While administrations change and policies evolve, the voice of the people remains the cornerstone of our republic. The startling rise in gun sales, despite numerous attempts to curb them, speaks volumes. It's a testament to the value Americans place on their Second Amendment rights and the assertion of the need to protect and defend themselves and their loved ones. This isn't about politics, it's about personal choice, safety, and individual freedoms. As we, the media, continue to report, it's essential to remember that numbers don't lie. People do. Listen to the numbers. Engage in the conversation, and above all, stay informed. For in knowledge lies true power. Big news out of Texas as they claim a victory in the ongoing border barrier dispute. Angie?
Texas has scored a victory for common sense and border security. A U.S. appeals court just granted an emergency stay, allowing the Lone Star State to keep barriers up along the Rio Grande. This after a federal judge tried to force Texas to relocate these critical barriers. So much for that. Governor Abbott isn't holding back either, calling out the Biden administration's complete failure to secure our border. Now get this, Biden's team is even planning a so-called Remain in Texas policy, monitoring unauthorized migrants with GPS. An outrageous violation of individual liberties and state rights, if you ask me. Governor Abbott stands firm, promising to take this all the way to the Supreme Court if needed. Texans, your state's not backing down. It's fighting to keep you safe from the chaos that's been unleashed. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. That's all the news I have for this evening. Now back to Gary with your comments from the comment section.
Welcome to the comments section, the segment where we dive into your thoughts and voices, because here at N3 Primetime, we listen to the American people. And tonight, we're discussing the latest in the Trump trial and what this revelation could mean for our nation's future. Starting off with a message from Alicia. This is how a real leader speaks. God bless President Trump. Couldn't agree more. Leadership isn't about pandering. It's about clarity, strength, and conviction. And that's exactly what we have seen. Next up, we have Idilia, who says, God, please protect President Trump, his family, his lawyers, and cabinet from all evil. Amen. A sentiment I believe is shared by millions of Americans. We've seen the obstacles, the attacks, and yet President Trump's resilience stands tall. And then there's this from Dr. Ed. We the people select our president, and we are picking Donald J. Trump. They need to back off. A powerful reminder that it's the people's voice that matters, not the elites in Washington. A republic has always been and should always be about the will of the people. And Lorick, not mincing words, says these treasonous government employees need to be in Gitmo for life after this is over. Now, we believe in due process. It's clear that many Americans are frustrated with what they see as the betrayals from within, and there's no denying that accountability is key to maintaining the trust of the American people. And finally, a rallying call from Lady Nickerson. Trump is the best president we ever had. Vote Trump 2024. Passion, dedication, and unwavering support. This speaks to the lasting impact of Trump's presidency on so many. Thank you for your comments. The power of the people's voice is what has always made this nation great. Remember, your voice, your perspective, it matters. And now, shifting gear, on our next segment, we're looking at you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's Looking at You segment on N3 Primetime. Tonight, we have a story that frankly might make you reevaluate where you store your valuables. And I'm not just talking about gold or silver. No, I mean your God-given liberties. Let's talk about Liberty Safe, a company that markets itself as the protector of your most prized possessions. Well, here's where the irony enters. Liberty Safe, ladies and gentlemen, has recently granted the FBI access to their customers' safes. Let that sink in for a moment. A company called Liberty Safe willingly opening up your private sanctum to the feds. You can't make this up. Now, you might be wondering, well, what if they had a warrant? But here's the kicker. Liberty Safe didn't just comply with a court order, which would be questionable enough given their branding. They offered this information willingly, and I dare say eagerly. Imagine the audacity. A company that sells liberty, or at least safes with that name, essentially becoming an extension of the state. It's Orwellian, but it's also profoundly American in the most twisted way. So what are they saying? Well, that the price of Liberty Safe includes not just the metal box, but also your submission to governmental oversight? In what chapter of the Free Market Manifesto does it say that your privacy can be traded away so easily? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to read between the lines. This isn't just about one company's actions. This is a canary in the coal mine, a sign of how readily some entities will compromise on principles that are supposedly at the core of their existence, and ours is a free society. If a company named Liberty Safe can't stand up for the basic tenets of liberty, then who does? And what does it say about where we're headed as a country? I'll tell you what it says. It's time to wake up. Liberty, once compromised, isn't easily won back. Let's not learn that the hard way. Ladies and gentlemen, if tonight's stories have shown us anything, it's that we're at a critical juncture in American history. We see a courtroom drama swirling around a former president, a man who still wields enormous influence over millions of Americans, Donald Trump's legal maneuverings aren't just about him. They touch the very core of our judicial system and what it means to face justice in this country. Then we have the Democrats in a tailspin. Biden sinking approval ratings and internal party divisions revealing a leadership vacuum. Michelle Obama's potential candidacy only adds fuel to this inferno of uncertainty, and the clock is ticking towards 2024. It's a fight for the soul of the Democrat Party, yes, but also a fight for the soul of America. Let's not forget our societal discord. The conviction of Peter Navarro, a Trump advisor, exemplifies the searing divisions that's tearing us apart. While Americans are buying guns at record rates, fueled by a confluence of anxieties, our current administration appears disoriented, seemingly unable to govern effectively, let alone unite the country. Whether it's a border security issue in Texas or an economic downturn that even CNN can't sugarcoat, the thread connecting these stories is clear: leadership or the startling lack thereof. From the courtroom to the voting booth, from our homes to the halls of Congress, we're witnessing a tumultuous battle over America's future. You should be concerned. You should be engaged. Because, folks, it's not just news, it's the lifeblood of our republic. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close the book on tonight's riveting stories, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Angie for her invaluable news briefs. Angie, your contributions help keep the American people well informed, so thank you. And to all you participating in the live chat and tuning in tonight, you're not just passive viewers, you're active citizens shaping the dialogue that our great nation so desperately needs. Now let's talk about something as reliable as gold is in uncertain times. Our sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. Thank you for sponsoring this program. And think of investing in gold like a firewall for your financial portfolio. In a world where we question the integrity of our judicial system, where political figures are as stable as a house of cards, and where inflation looms like a dark cloud over our economy, gold remains our steadfast pillar. Take control of your financial future today. Visit nextnewsgold.com or call 877-646-5347 to get your free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. It's the one you see me holding up in every show, and I'm glad to have one. Noble Gold is the investment company that I trust, and you should too. And even if you're not investing, call them and tell them thank you for sponsoring this program. And remember, you are the vital cog in the machinery that makes America great again. If tonight's show stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share the link. Tell a friend. I'm Gary Franchi, and let me leave you with this as we close out the weekend. I am not here to make you a follower. My mission is to empower you to become a leader among your fellow Americans. Good night, and may God continue to bless this remarkable land that we call home.